Shalom, my friends. Welcome to this week's news. Starting off, as we usually do, with wars and rumors of wars. A submarine race is now in the making. The United States has announced its new generation Ohio-class submarines to address new threats from Russia and China. And Russia complained Sunday, September 28th, in quiet talks with United Nations representatives that the Obama administration's current aerial campaign against Islamic State fighters in Syria is a violation of international agreements regarding control of Syrian airspace. Russia warned it would retaliate if the U.S. or Arab airstrikes go beyond targeting the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria or ISIS and instead bomb any Syrian regime targets. Further, on Friday, September 27th, a former aide of Russian President Vladimir Putin came out and stated that the citizens in the Baltic states cannot feel safe and secure because Putin has been working on a major global war for more than 10 years. Have you noticed how redundant this phrase has become? Peace and security? 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3 reads, "When people are saying all is well and secure, there is peace and safety, then in a moment unforeseen, destruction, ruin, and death will come upon them as suddenly as labor pains come upon a woman with child, and they shall by no means escape, for there will be no escape." First, this statement about labor pains coming on a woman with child, that's always in the word a reference to the tribulation coming upon the world. It's not that people are yet saying peace and safety, but my point is this catchphrase is coming up a lot more from all directions imaginable. Peace and security, peace and security. It's all over the place. So it's blossoming. The Islamic State controls a large area north of Baghdad, which borders Iran. And Iran is making it very clear that if the IS comes near their borders, it will attack deep into Iraqi territory. Iran will not allow the IS to approach the Iran border. Forces with links to Iran and Hezbollah are supporting Houthi rebels to boost their control of Yemen's capital, Sana'a. Elements affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and Hezbollah, who were training Houthis in the north of Yemen, are currently present in Yemen's capital, Sana'a. Following a month of protests against Yemen's central government, Houthi militants last week gained control of key government buildings in Sana'a and looted the homes of top government officials. Members of the Iranian elite force and Hezbollah are helping these Shiite rebels implement their political and military agenda in the country. Islamic State militants are advancing on the Syrian town of Kobane, where they are battling Kurdish fighters. The clashes are visible from Turkey, where some protesters have stormed a border fence to go to defend the town. The UK Parliament has voted to conduct airstrikes against the IS in Iraq, while Belgium and Denmark have also announced they will take part in the operation. Wars in the Middle East continue to grow, my friends. The leader of al-Qaeda's Syria affiliate vowed Sunday, September 28th, that his group would use all possible means to fight back against airstrikes by the U.S.-led coalition and warned that the conflict would reach Western countries joining the alliance. In a 25-minute audio recording, Nusra Front leader Abu Mohammed al-Golani warned Western countries against taking part in the alliance in words that echoed those of the late founder of al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden. Quote, "This is what will cause the battle to be transported to the hearts of your own homes, because Muslims will not stand idly by and watch Muslims be bombed and killed in their countries while you are safe in your countries. The price of war will not be paid by your leaders alone. You will pay the biggest price." Close quote. The coalition against the IS. U.S. and Arab warplanes continued to hit Islamic State targets in Syria on Friday, September 26th, targeting the stronghold of Raqqa. The coalition is also trying to dry up the terror group's money supply by bombing oil refineries, which generate millions of dollars a day for the IS. Meanwhile, the debate over President Obama's strategy to take down the IS continues, with many questioning the way he views the terror group, due to his declaration that the Islamic State is not Islamic. Let's face it, it may not be the Islam Obama wants, but the religion and practices embraced by the IS come straight from the Quran. On Saturday, September 27th, it was said that the American-led coalition launched airstrikes on IS positions, including wheat silos in Syria's east. It was also said that the strikes targeted compounds for the Islamic State group in the central province of Homs and the northern region of Raqqa. The local coordination committees, another activist group, said the Saturday strikes hit the eastern province of Deir el-Zor as well as Raqqa, and that the coalition targeted wheat silos west of the eastern city of Deir el-Zor. The coalition, which began its aerial campaign against Islamic State fighters in Syria early last Tuesday, September 23rd, aims to roll back and ultimately crush the extremist group, which has created a proto-state, that is, the very first state, an Islamic state, spanning the Syria-Iraq border. If ISIS manages to hold onto its turf in Iraq, it will control an area the size of Jordan, that is 35,635 square miles, with roughly the same population, approximately 6.5 million, from the countryside east of Aleppo in Syria into western Iraq. The IS now holds 3 border posts between Syria and Turkey, and several more on Syria's border with Iraq. An al-Qaeda splinter group, elements affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and Hezbollah, launched a rocket attack on the U.S. Embassy in Sana'a, Yemen's capital, on Saturday, September 27th, to retaliate for a U.S. drone strike in a northern province the day before. And the South Sudan Army has deployed a battalion of troops along its border with Sudan following repeated rebel raids on its territory. Turning to the Islamic State, on Friday, September 26th, Alton Nolan beheaded a co-worker, 54-year-old Colleen Hufford, in Moore, Oklahoma. They want to say it was workplace violence, but there can be no question about this. This man is inspired by the religion of Islam. He was doing all he could to convert co-workers to Islam, and he was posting rambling Islamist insults, photos of Osama bin Laden, and an image of a decapitation on his Facebook page. Let's be honest, Islamic terrorism has begun in America. There is a very serious point to look at, my friends, concerning how the U.S. is acting. Arming the Syrian rebels, which is what is currently going on, instead of arming the Syrian Christians. This is exactly how the U.S. created the Islamic State terrorists in the first place. Michael Savage interviewed Walid Shoebat on his radio program, The Savage Nation, just last Tuesday, September 23rd. Walid Shoebat is a good friend of mine. We can talk for hours when we hook up on the telephone, and if you want to hear someone talk about ISIS and the Middle East, someone who has an Eastern mindset and really understands everything that is and has been going on, please click the link at the end of this video, also available beneath this video in the More Info section. Earthquakes. Long Valley Caldera in California has experienced more than 1,000 earthquakes in its latest swarm, and more than 200 additional quakes have erupted in the area in a 24-hour period. Additionally, some earthquakes are now being reported at shallower depths. Earthquake swarms are a regular phenomenon at Long Valley, but nobody knows where the magma will move next. They will have to wait and see if this latest swarm indicates a massive movement of magma, which could be an early warning sign that Long Valley might be moving towards an eruption. A Japanese volcano erupted on Saturday, September 27th, spewing ash and small rocks into the air and leaving 7 people unconscious, 8 seriously injured, and more than 250 people stranded on the mountain. And Mount St. Helens is showing signs of reawakening. Pestilences. The death toll from the outbreak of Ebola in West Africa has risen to at least 3,091 out of 6,574 probable, suspected, and confirmed cases. High-density population areas of Sierra Leone in West Africa have just been locked down in the largest pandemic quarantine in history, and it's already causing a collapse of the food delivery infrastructure. The local government says forced isolation orders will remain in effect until Ebola is eradicated. This essentially means that millions of people are now under a state of military quarantine until they either become immune to Ebola or die from it. A new strain of the avian flu virus in poultry in Southeast Asia represents a serious threat to animal health and livelihoods in the region and must be closely monitored. And U.S. health officials are investigating 9 cases of muscle weakness or paralysis in Colorado children, and whether the culprit might be a virus which is causing severe respiratory illness across the country. Monsanto's experimental genetically modified wheat has been discovered growing in the 2nd U.S. field in Montana. Although the government believes the wheat never reached market, it has still opened an investigation into finding the rogue plants at sites which were not supposed to host any tests after 2003. Last year, over 100 acres of the Monsanto crop was discovered growing. Note: there are some who like to discount Bible prophecies about earthquakes and pestilences, saying that such things have been going on since the beginning of time, and therefore these prophecies are meaningless. But their ignorance only reveals a lack of searching out the Father's Word. What these people fail to understand is that the word is saying, when you see these things happening all at the same time and in unison, then you will know the time is at hand. And that, my friends, is the news for this week. Thank you for your support, and Abba willing, I'll see you next week. Shalom.
Crowded rooms, I need more space than I consume. Enough is time alone with you, underneath the naked moon, sharing confidential moods and making chatter. Mockingbird nocturnal sings notations of eternal things, entering the quantum breeze, flying not for want of wings. He lights his gaze on you and me, simply because we matter.